Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today for Joy in Our Town. For our second segment today, we have with us Lieutenant Kenny Davis with the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, known as the ABC here in Alabama, and he will be speaking with us about the underage drinking laws. Kenny, thank you so much for being with us today on the show. We really appreciate you being here and taking the time to come. And we would just like to start with, what are the functions and the mission of what you do with the ABC?
With the ABC Board, we regulate and control the sale of alcoholic beverages within the state of Alabama. We take the applications for each locations that sell alcohol, and then we enforce and make sure that they operate under the rules and regulations of the ABC Board and the Code Title 28 of Alabama.
What is now, there's so many different aspects of the underage drinking issues and the laws and legislation in the state of Alabama. What is the actual, because I know a lot of people don't know, what is actual legal, what are the definition of underage drinking laws?
In Alabama now, the legal definition for the age is under 21. Anyone that is under the age of 21 cannot possess, attempt to possess, consume, or attempt to purchase any alcoholic beverages.
Well, I think that's true, so true. They can't even attempt to purchase, so they can't even go in for someone else and buy it.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And in the state right now, is there any changes in the legislation? Are there any problems with underage drinking right now?
Yes, we have. We work usually 1 or 2 nights a week here in our local district, and we make several cases each week. And throughout the state, when our agents go out and work, they usually make several cases of minors in possession or consumption of alcohol, and it's done on a routine basis.
And what are some of the issues with enforcement with the ABC here in Alabama? Some
of our issues, naturally, we would need more officers. And our time constraints because of the licensing issues that come up first. We must first and foremost do the application process. And so it's the time constraint issue of getting out and enforcing the regulations concerning the minor sales.
And what are some of the issues of like how people that are underage actually get the alcohol? That they're finding?
The biggest issue that we have now, kids, computers, college students, the teenagers, they are making false identification cards. With our computer age, they can make them almost identical to what is issued by the states. We also have problems. You can go into areas of our community here in Montgomery. The kids will just walk up to someone on the street and ask them to buy it.
Oh, really?
Right. We also have a problem with our sales. The clerks in the stores just sometimes fail to ask for identification. We will send minors into stores to attempt to purchase. And the clerks on several occasions will check the ID and just fail to determine that they're underage. And this is done on our, what we call a compliance check. So mistakes from the store clerks themselves also.
Now, is that, you just mentioned about the cell clerks not actually checking the IDs of those who they presume to be under 21. Now, how do you said that y'all do enforcement with that, but how big of a problem is that with y'all checking up on the people that the store clerks are selling alcohol and they're supposed to be checking?
We, each month, we do compliance checks that we call them here throughout the state. And on a normal night, we may check 15 to 20 different locations. And on again, a normal routine compliance check, we may have 1 or 2 locations that will sell alcohol or tobacco to an underage minor operative.
Now, what are some of the ramifications for a business or a place that sells alcohol if they do not check? If y'all catch them and they're not following the law?
The ABC Board administers ABC administrative citations against the licensees. And those fines, they can receive a fine that ranges from $500 up to $1,000. They can also have a suspension or revocation of their ABC license that would prevent them to sell alcohol or tobacco for a permitted time. After a subsequent violation, a second or third offense, is when you usually get into the suspensions or revocations of their license.
Now, you're talking about that even if they get caught and they were selling the tobacco and illegally to somebody of underage or the alcohol, so can their establishment be closed because of that, or is it just that they can't sell the alcohol and the tobacco? Just
so that they can't sell the alcohol or the tobacco. If they were caught on a number of violations, we only enforce the sale of the alcohol or tobacco. We would not close the entire establishment down if it was a convenience store.
Now, I know we spoke a little earlier, we were talking about how a lot of people in Alabama, even myself, had thought that parents could purchase alcohol and then maybe a child of theirs that's maybe older, that we would think, well, maybe it's okay under the law. They could consume it at their own home under parental authority. But is that actually the law? Can they?
No, ma'am, they cannot. A parent cannot give authority to their child that is under the age of 21 to consume alcoholic beverages within the state of Alabama. We discussed a house party statute here in Alabama. We have from time to time received calls where minors and teenagers go to someone's house and have a house party. And if we can prove the adults that were in attendance there knew that there were underage people consuming alcohol, we can charge those adults with the house party statute. But no, you cannot give your underage child authority or permission to consume alcohol.
No. And now, what are some of the dangers for underage drinking? I know a lot of people, especially college students or other people, they may themselves think, well, I'm an adult, I'm responsible enough, it's my time, my coming of age, I should be able to drink. But what would you say to the people that even if they themselves think that they should drink, what are the dangers as far as the law goes of why you shouldn't do it because of what the ramifications are?
Okay, health dangers or the criminal charges that may come about, which one?
The criminal, I guess I would say.
Okay, the criminal charges, if a person is under the age of 21 and he or she is arrested, they can be taken to the county jail where they are held into a county jail, processed, and they have to be bonded. Then once they get out of jail, they must go to court, and their fines can range anywhere from $50 up to $500 in fines plus court cost. And the judge may also place them in jail up for a period of 3 months. And then the last thing that really gets their attention is the judge, they must surrender their license to the judge, who then surrenders it to the Department of Public Safety for a period of 3 to 6 months. And so they lose their ability to drive for a period of 3 to 6 months.
So even if it's not a DUI, even if it's just you're caught with underage drinking, your license is revoked, or it can be revoked?
Once they are found guilty of a minor, someone under the age of 21 being in possession, consumption of alcohol, it is surrendered to the judge. Once they are found guilty, they have to surrender it.
Well, that's good for us all to keep in mind, for sure. Now, I know in Alabama there's a lot of counties that we have that are actually themselves, they're dry counties. How does the state law correspond with the county and then the city laws? How do y'all enforce that, and what do people follow as far as in Alabama?
Our state laws are in effect in all 67 counties, no matter whether they're wet or dry. Some of these cities within some of the dry counties have voted and become wet cities within dry counties. Cities have their own city ordinances, and it is up to the local police departments to enforce their city ordinances, but all of our state laws are still in effect in the wet cities within those dry counties.
Well, we don't have much time left, but I wanted you to tell our viewers of if they want to find out more information about what the laws in Alabama are, what's a good place for them to go?
They can go to www.abc.alabama and look under the Alabama ABC Board's website, or they can reach our office at 334-260-9702, and we will be glad to answer any questions or forward them to someone that can assist them.
Now, I've also heard that there are somewhat kind of agents. We kind of have like our own view of, FBI agents or whatever, but there are agents that are going in Alabama in restaurants or in places that are selling or purchasing alcohol, and they kind of do a test to see if the establishment is actually following the law. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with that with ABC.
We send our ABC agents into locations to observe for violations, and we also recruit minor operatives that we refer to them as. Anyone under the age of 20, they actually work for the ABC board, and we will send them into locations to attempt to purchase alcoholic beverages from the convenience stores or the restaurants or the lounges. And our agents observe them as they are trying to purchase, and we work under some Supreme Court guidelines to use these minor operatives in the locations to attempt to purchase.
So how large is ABC? Do y'all have offices around the state?
Yes, we have, I think it is 13 district offices throughout the state.
Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Davis. We really appreciate all this information about the minimum drinking age and underage drinking. And thank you for being with us for Join Our Town. And please be sure to tune in next time for our next show.